This week we created the main menu for our game. So in our GameManager.hpp file, we declared our start screen. In our GameManager.cpp file, we declared it and we called the constructor on it. So we initialize the screen under the game manager. And then we also delete it in the deconstructor, and we call update on it, and finally we make sure that it renders. In start screen, we declare all the objects that we want on our start screen or on our main menu. In the implementation file, you can see that we've categorized things based on whether or not they're at the top of the main menu or if they're a certain entity. We deconstruct them when we don't need them anymore, and we make sure that they render onto the screen. So this is what our main menu currently looks like. The arrow's kind of way too big, it honestly is, but we have a high score at the top, we have play game, load game, exit game, and when you move the up and down arrows, it moves the cursor.
So we decided that instead of using an amalgamation of royalty-free game art off the internet, that we were going to create some of our own little pixel art for our game. So we decided that the resolution for each tile was going to be 32 by 32 pixels. So so far we have a player sprite, a ground sprite, which is like just some dirt and some grass here, and then a rock, which could be like an obstacle. And so in the future, I'll make possibly some enemies and some other obstacles and some background objects, and maybe some different backgrounds like night and day or something like that. And yeah, so that's the update on the art so far.
The player HPP and player CPP files. So I'll need to walk you guys through it. So it inherits from game entity as a timer and an input instance, and we also include it up here in the header, or whatever that's called. And then we have booleans for visible and animating. The integer GPA, integer GPA, and integer lives, and then a texture my player, which is over here. This is what Ryan made, and so we're going to use that as a student in our game. He has a float move speed and a vector for its movement bounds, which we initialize over in the player CPP. I'll get more into that. We have a handle movements function, and then we have the constructors over here. Basically, these are setters and getters. Like this gets the GPA, gets the lives, this adds the GPA, and then update and render. This takes in the texture of this player and PNG file, and then positions it at vector 0, which we created here in our math helper function as 0, 0, which is, I believe, in the middle of the screen, the way we've set it up. And so its move speed is 100. Move speed is just an integer. So in our handle movement function, we take an input. If it's to the right, it translate, which I think this function is in a game entity, which takes in a vector. The vector right's movement multiplied by the move speed and the time, and then later updated. And if the position here is less than, if the position of the player is less than the move bounds, return it to the movement boundary. Same thing for the Y position. And yeah, like I said, these are setters and getters. So yeah, that's about it.